Hello everyone, welcome to today's news starter. Let's begin with a prelims practice question. Take a look at this. A very simple and factual question about the EVMs and the VVPAT. So EVMs and voter verifiable paper audit trail machines, the electoral voter machine and the voter verifiable paper audit trail machine, VVPAT. Both of these are designed and manufactured indigenously. We are not getting it from outside. By which among the below PSUs? So there are two PSUs which are involved in manufacturing of EVMs and VVPATs. One among them is Bharat Electronics Limited, BEL, right? So which one is the other? You need to find it out. Take it as a homework, find it out immediately, and try to make a note of it that these two public sector unions, PSUs, are involved in manufacturing of EVMs and VVPAT. Why this is very important? Because VVPAT has been discussed regularly in the news, and earlier, not now, in 2019, there was a allegation that the government is manufacturing the EVMs from outside the country and getting it imported. So that was proven wrong also. So these problems are there. That's why you need to know. Bharat Electronics Limited is the correct option here. Decreasing solar radiation, this was a news in today's paper. What is decreasing solar radiation? Usually, we always tell that the global warming has increased, too much heat is happening these days. The average temperature of the world as a whole has gone up. So, in all the scenarios, how can we say that the solar radiation has been decreasing? When we talk about radiation, we talk about the amount of radiation that reaches the Earth. Recently, the Indian Meteorological Department came up with a conclusion that the amount of radiation that reaches the Earth, the bottommost point of the Earth's surface, is decreasing in the recent times. Why? Because of increased aerosol load. More amount of aerosols are present in the atmosphere. So when the radiation enters the earth, most of the radiations are absorbed by this aerosol. What is an aerosol? Aerosols are very tiny solid particles that float over the atmosphere. How these particles are created? They are artificially manufactured by human beings. When uh, air pollution happens, too much of aerosols get spread in the atmosphere. So what these aerosols do, they will absorb the sunlight. These aerosols will absorb the sunlight and deflect it away from the ground. So because of this, more amount of solar radiation is not coming to the surface of the earth. Because of this, what problem happens? One major problem is we won't be able to produce solar electricity. Solar panels will not get the amount of radiation it has to receive. So the major causes are aerosol load and fine carbon emissions, fossil fuel burning, dust, clouding, etc. These aerosols again result in more formation of clouds. That is another big problem. So when more amount of aerosols get into the space, these the water droplets, because of humidity, will get formed over the surface of the aerosol. So this aerosol will act as a medium for the humidity to get converted into water droplets. So this again is a major problem. It disrupts the entire scenario of the atmosphere. So at present, India has installed capacity of 81 gigawatt of solar electricity, which is around 17 percentage of the total installed electricity. So 17 percentage is huge. Apart from this, India has also promised that by 2030, we will be producing 50. I'm sorry, by 2030, two promises were made. By 2030, 50 percentage of the total energy we produce will be from non-fossil fuels. And by 2030, 500 gigawatt of the total energy requirement will come from non-fossil fuel sources. Two promises you need to remember. One is this comes under the NDC. So the nationally determined contributions of India. We have promised by 2030 500 gigawatt, nearly half of its requirement of electricity will be coming from non-fossil fuel, and 50% of the total electricity generation will also be from non-fossil fuel resources. When we are promising that 500 gigawatt will be from non-fossil fuel, 280 gigawatt of this 500 gigawatt will have to be produced by solar power only. In this scenario, when more amount of aerosols are there, it will become very difficult to manufacture this amount of electricity. So we need to take care of our air pollution. What exactly is curative petition? So there was a very good editorial today, but the core of the editorial is about curative petition. We need to have a good idea about curative petition. When did this originate? It originated in 2002 in this particular case, that is Rupa Ashok Hurra versus Ashok Hurra and another case. In this case, the Supreme Court talked about the curative petition. What exactly is a curative petition? When the Court gives a verdict, and if the person who is involved in the case is not convinced with the verdict, the person can go for a review plea, so that he is applying for the court to review the verdict one time. In most of the cases, the Supreme Court will tell that we have analyzed everything clearly, so we will reject the review plea. If the review plea gets dismissed or rejected, in that case, even after the rejection, the person will have one more solution, that is the curative petition. So the person can apply for a curative petition. Curative means to see whether the judgment was correct or not, and if possible, they can change the judgment. But this cannot happen very easily. There are certain grounds on which a person can apply for a curative petition. So what are those grounds? The grounds are violation of natural justice, violation of natural justice, and if the judge who is giving the judgment has failed to disclose any fact. So these two are the grounds for curative petition. If the petitioner can prove that the principle of natural justice have been violated. What is the principle of natural justice? If the court is just listening to one side of the argument and not listening to another side of the argument, right? In that case, they have not upheld the principle of natural justice. And second one, if the judge has not disclosed all the facts related to the case, or if they have not considered all the facts related to the case, in such case, curative petition can be applied. So this has to be proved by the petitioner, right? And so when they apply for this curative petition, what will happen? It must be accompanied by the certification by one senior advocate pointing out that these are all the problems. A petitioner will apply it along with the opinions, a certification by a senior advocate who is telling that these problems are there. Then the curative petition must be first circulated to a bench of three senior most judges. The curative petition will be given to three senior most judges and to all the judges who have passed the order earlier in the case. So this is the procedure with which curative petition will be considered. And once this three judge bench and to all the judges who have passed the judgment, they have seen the petition, and if the majority of these judges conclude that fine, there is some ground to rehear the case, in such case, the curative petition will be considered. And it is usually decided by the judges in the chamber unless a specific request for open hearing is allowed. Generally, curative petition doesn't have an open hearing. If in case the court is convinced that we can go for an open hearing, they will go for an open hearing. It shall be open to the bench at any stage of consideration to go for a amicus curiae. Who is an amicus curiae? Amicus curiae means a friend of the court. So if the court want to get the opinion of a separate jurist or a separate specialist, they can get the opinion. If the bench is holding at any stage that the petition is without any merit, and if the petition is with some intention, filed with some illegal or illicit intention, in such case, they may punish the petitioner. If the court is convinced that the petition is filed by the petitioner with some illicit intention, vexatious intention, in such case, they can punish the petitioner. So I have discussed the curative petition in a very detailed way because for polity it is very important, and in prelims you can get questions from this topic. So go through this in a clear way. Syria has been in news today, so we need to know about the map and important locations of Syria. Very simple, very easy. Syria, the northernmost territory of Syria is surrounded by Turkey. Syria was in news regularly in 2016, 2017. These days, it has not been in news, but because of the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict, Syria has been in news because certain embassies in Syria were attacked, and Syria has been accused by certain people that some terrorists are living in Syria. So these problems are there. All we need to care is about the borders of Syria. Northern border is surrounded by Turkey. In the east, it is Iraq, and in the south, we have Israel has a very small border. Israel has a very, very small border. Other than that, it is Jordan. So Turkey, Iraq, Jordan, these are all the countries which share the border. Lebanon is something which you should not miss. Lebanon is a very small country, but it has border with Syria too. So this is something which you need to know. Does Syria and Iran have border? They don't have a border because Iraq is coming here. So these points you should remember. Generally, if they are making a question about Syria, they will ask about Mediterranean Sea. So one side of Syria is open to Mediterranean Sea, and the countries that border Syria are Turkey, Iran, Jordan, and a small amount by Israel. And Lebanon is very important. So these are all the borders you need to know. Try to go and take a look at the borders of Syria once more. So the Supreme Court has given a verdict that 100% verification of VVPAT is impossible. It is not required also. VVPAT is voter verifiable paper audit trail. So this is a machine which is connected to the electronic voting machine. The VVPAT will have two devices. So one device will show what is your vote. So it will show the serial number of the candidate for which you have voted, the name of the candidate, and the symbol of the candidate, so that you can verify whether your vote has been marked properly or not. So there will be a small slip that comes out, and the slip will be visible for 7 seconds. So you can verify everything. Once 7 seconds gets over, the slip will fall down and it will get completely destroyed. It will be torn off automatically. So this is the voter verifiable paper audit trail. So there was a petition which was asking that all the VVPAT machines employed should be verified properly to see whether it is fine with the votes that has been polled. So at present, what we do is the election commission will select some certain random VVPAT machine and check whether things are correct or not. With the amount of manpower we have and with the huge amount of population we have, it is almost impossible to check all the VVPAT machines. So this is what the Supreme Court has told. What are all the things we need to know about the VVPAT machine? It is an independent system. It was first introduced in 2014 Lok Sabha election. It consists of two parts. One is VVPAT printer and VVPAT status display unit. Printer and status display unit. Printer is the one which is printing out the slip. Status display unit is where you can see whether the slip is, whether your vote is marked correctly or not, all the details. So when the vote is cast, a slip is printed containing serial number, name, and symbol. Only three things are there. This you should remember. Only three things are there. One is serial number, second one name, and then symbol of the candidate. For 7 seconds, it will be open, and the printed slip automatically gets cut and falls into a sealed drop box. So these are all the things you need to remember. Go through it very well and clearly so that you know the topic properly. Anything related to election for this year is very important. Do subscribe and like the video so that you will get suggestion in your YouTube every day. All the best. Study well.